So Jayson Tatum just signed a max rookie extension worth around $200 million. This comes after a season where Tatum averaged 23.4 points, 7 rebounds, and 3 assists a game. But I still feel like there's a portion of the NBA community that doesn't understand just how good Tatum is. In my personal opinion, I think Jayson Tatum is a top 10 player in the entire league. In my opinion, he's just that good, but I will get more into that later on in the video. But before we get any further, let's add some context. Coming into the 2017 NBA draft, Jayson Tatum was seen as a top prospect. Tatum was a great offensive player in his time with the Duke Blue Devils, averaging 16 points per game. Tatum thrived in the isolation and in the high post, something of a lost art form in the current NBA. The question would be, would that isolation and high post play be able to translate into the NBA with the better and more physical defenders in the league? The other major questions asked about his game was on defense. But with his size and length, he had the upside to be a terrific defender, so it wasn't a big issue for teams. He would be drafted 3rd overall by the Boston Celtics. And this, ladies and gentlemen, was an absolute steal. Jayson Tatum has been one of the best young players in the NBA since his rookie season. When Kyrie Irving went down for the Boston Celtics, Tatum stood up and became the focal point of the offense. The Celtics would make it as far as the Eastern Conference Finals, but eventually lose to the Cleveland Cavaliers in 7 games. In the playoffs, Tatum would up his game to 18.5 points per game, which compared to his regular season numbers of 13.9 points per game, was a massive jump, especially for a rookie. Tatum, even as a rookie, showed his tremendous worth and was making the 76ers and Lakers pay for not drafting him. In his second year with the Boston Celtics, in theory, they were going to have a better team. With Kyrie Irving and Gordon Hayward back to full fitness, the Celtics would have an absolutely stacked roster, but this team would never reach its full potential. A lot of turmoil, especially in regards to Kyrie Irving, who was becoming a problem in the locker room, and the team sort of struggling to fit all the stars they had on it at the moment. With now close to 7 genuine scoring options on the team had to adapt. Even with all this, Tatum continued to improve his game, averaging 15.7 points in the regular season and 6 rebounds per game. The Celtics would lose to the Bucks in the second round, and Tatum would perform worse than he did in the previous playoffs, only averaging 15.2 and 6.7 rebounds a game. Obviously, we know the Celtics made some big changes during this last offseason, losing Kyrie Irving to the Nets, Terry Rozier to the Hornets, and now Horford to the 76ers. But they did acquire all-star point guard Kemba Walker to replace Kyrie Irving. This season, we have truly seen Jayson Tatum prove that he is a superstar level player. Again, Tatum would increase his averages across the board to 23.4 points per game, 7 rebounds, and 3 assists, and became a first-time All-Star. Tatum's game had evolved so much since he first came into the league. Tatum's isolation scoring became more smooth and overall better. His three-pointer, which was a question when he came into the league, became way more consistent and even borderlining on elite. Last season, he shot 40% from 3 on 7 attempts a game. Tatum has become a great defender. Tatum uses his size and length to stay in front of players and especially other forwards in the NBA. Now, with all that context said, let's get into why Tatum is an elite basketball player and, in my opinion, a top 10 player in the NBA. First up, Tatum is one of the most complete basketball players in the league. He's an elite offensive player possessing a great isolation game, elite back to the basket game, which, as mentioned previously, is a lost art form in the NBA, a great borderlining on elite 3-point shooter, and he can effectively use his size and athleticism when attacking the rim. Tatum is also a passable playmaker, but this isn't his role in the Celtics, so it's hard to assess this aspect of his game. Tatum is also a very good defensive player. As previously stated, he uses his size and 6'11" wingspan to help stay in front of players and possesses good lateral quickness, meaning he is very hard to get past on the perimeter. Overall, Tatum possesses a very well-rounded game that also features some elite aspects. And I think the reason Tatum gets overlooked is kind of because of how strong the Celtics are. Last season, the Celtics had Jayson Tatum, Kemba Walker, Jaylen Brown, Gordon Hayward, and Marcus Smart all on the roster. That's a really stacked list of players, and 3 of those players averaged over 20 points per game, and this has definitely affected his perception. Another factor is Brad Stevens, and I do understand Brad Stevens is a great coach that can elevate players beyond their potential. For example, someone like Isaiah Thomas, who was a borderline all-star, but under Stevens' system, he became a superstar, averaging 28 points per game. But in my opinion, Tatum isn't one of those players. While I think Stevens has definitely elevated Tatum's game a bit and probably accelerated Tatum's growth, I think Tatum's box score numbers would actually be more impressive on a different team. I think Tatum would be a 22 to 29 point per game scorer if he was drafted on a worse team, just for the simple fact he'd get more shots. I think his game would have developed on a similar path, maybe just a less efficient scorer. I think Brad Stevens' role has played a massive part in turning Tatum into a very good defender. Whilst he always had the potential to be a good defender, a good coach can definitely unlock down players. Stevens has also built a team that helps Tatum win basketball games. The team is so talented, Tatum doesn't have to single-handedly win basketball game, and I don't think that should reflect on where he should be placed in ranking NBA players. I think Tatum could be a 30 point per game scorer if he was taking over shots on a team like Charlotte Hornets, but I think it's something also to be praised in Tatum's attitude that he doesn't ever carry on about not getting enough shots. He's a team player that just wants to win basketball games. But anyway guys, thank you for watching my video. Please consider liking and subscribing as I release new basketball content pretty regularly. I hope you have a wonderful day, and laters.